Hello there, this is Tara with Love Yoga, and this is our online waiver. By doing this yoga class, then you are just basically saying that you are cleared to do yoga by your doctor. This is prenatal yoga, and that you know what your limitations are. If there's anything kind of going on in your body, then knowing kind of like how to modify that for yourself. And obviously, if something doesn't feel good, then you don't have to do it. And just being able to tune into your body and connect and know, okay, I don't want to do that. And you don't have to. All right, let's get started. So this class is a strengthening flow. There are two other classes that you could do. That one is more grounded and stretching, and then the other is like a joint release series with some stretching as well. And those will be a little bit more mellow and slower paced. This one is we'll be moving slow, but we'll be doing more standing poses and challenging ourselves, as well as, of course, connecting with our body, our breath, and deep into our hearts. So with our baby as well. And we'll go ahead and get started. So I recommend having some blocks. And if you don't have blocks, then maybe some sort of support, such as like 2 water bottles or 2 sturdy books, something that you feel like you could put, you don't have to put a lot of weight on them, but just use them to support yourself. I'm obviously very pregnant. I'm awaiting my due date actually was Saturday. So I'm waiting the birth at this moment. And so I am past my 40 weeks, and this just kind of goes to show that like you can do yoga anytime, and it can actually be very, very helpful in preparing your body for birth. So this class, although like I said, it's a strengthening flow, we are going to start seated. I believe in strength and softness. So finding that balance with the yoga, and by kind of starting in a seated position or something that's comfortable for you and tuning into your breath and your body, we can then ground down so that we can really build back up. So if it's not comfortable for you to sit on the floor, that's okay. You can sit in a chair. If cross-legged is not comfortable, it may be more comfortable to sit in hero's pose, which is you bend your knees, and I would put something underneath them. Also take a block or a pillow, and you can sit back on that. So you choose what works for you. Go ahead and feel sit bones grounding down. But also actually start standing if that's more comfortable, just making sure your feet are flat on the floor, a little wider stance. And then lengthen your spine, whatever posture you're in. Maybe shrug your shoulders up and back a few times, creating some space. And then allowing them to rest, lifting up through the crown of your head and tucking your chin back slightly. And taking a moment to just release your jaw, even massaging your jaw. We hold a lot of tension there. And so we are able to release tension in the jaw. It can release tension in the pelvic floor as well. And if it's comfortable for you to close your eyes, go ahead and close the eyes or find a soft gaze focused on one thing. And just take a breath in through the nose, sigh it out through your mouth. Do that again, in through the nose and sigh it out. One more, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And take a moment to tune into yourself, into your physical body, where you may be holding tension, where maybe Feeling good to send some breath and then try to release those areas. Finding the softness as you exhale. And then bring attention back to simply breathing in and out through the nose. I'm going to breathe equal fluctuation breath, or it's also known as samavriti in Sanskrit. So it's going to include equal length inhales and exhales. We'll start by simply breathing in through the nose for the count of 4, and then out through the nose for the count of 4. Nice and simple. Let's begin. Breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Out for 4, 3, 2, 1. In 1, 2, 3, 4. Out 4, 3, 2, 1. Just continue on your own. Sometimes when you start to control the breath, it may feel almost like there's some anxiety there, or my count maybe didn't quite coincide with the rate you were breathing. So just find your own steady rhythm for a few rounds. You may notice that if your belly is kind of getting a little bigger, that it's harder to breathe and in and feel space. So you might want to press into the back ribs a little bit. And you'll notice you're able to take in a little more air. Good. Now let's increase the count to 5. Next inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just continue on your own. Few rounds. You may notice as you're inhaling that you feel the breath expand into your belly a little bit and you're creating space for your baby. As you exhale, you're gently rocking your baby back in towards you. As you push the breath out, you're softening. So taking these moments to connect with your baby as well, knowing that you're nourishing your baby with each inhale and creating relaxation with each exhale. We're going to take this to the count of 6. So as you inhale, next for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And continue on your own count now. And so this equal fluctuation breath is balancing your nervous system. When you take the same amount of air in as you let out, then you create equilibrium in the sympathetic, which is more of known as like the activation or stress response, and then the parasympathetic, which is known as more the rest and digest and relaxation. And take one more round here, and then just check in with yourself and notice how you feel. Maybe some tension has started to exit your body. Maybe you feel more present or connected to yourself and your baby. You can set an intention here for how you'd like to move through this class. If you're not sure, staying present is a good one. I always like to just focus on doing my best, tuning in. It kind of goes along with staying present, maybe finding strength and softness, since that's the theme. We'll go ahead and start to move. So from here, let's go straight to hands and knees, stacking shoulders over wrists, hips over knees in a tabletop shape. I'm just taking my blocks and putting them towards the top of the mat. And then pressing the palms down, making some space for the belly, bringing the knees a little further apart. And cat-cows are always a good way to start. Inhale, drop the belly, gaze forward. Exhale, press down, round the spine. So just moving with your breath. You could even inhale, count to 3 or 4, and then exhale, count to the same 3 or 4, bringing that equal fluctuation breath in and out. Also creating some organic movement. So I just got a little crack out of my back. That's where you start to know what feels good. So for me, I've been really enjoying these bigger circles lately, which is nice because when you come over your wrists, you're building a little strength as well. And then you're finding the softness as you roll back and around. Of course, going both directions. And then you start to feel into like, oh, that feels nice. Like the outer hip, I'm going to stay here for a moment and rock. And then I'm going to maybe find that on the other side. And you start to get into your own nooks and crannies and find those sticky spots. Coming back around to center, we'll walk the fingertips forward. Puff up the spine and round as you inhale. Exhale, sink the hips back, but keep them right above your knees. And let the head dangle so that you're getting into a shoulder stretch. And my fingertips are actually perched up like a tent. I'm just taking some pulsing movements, rinsing the shoulders. Inhaling and exhaling. And coming back up to center, I'm going to take a downward facing dog. So bringing my pinkies about mat width distance apart. Press down into each one of your fingers, especially that pointer finger. Get your nice strong base. And then from here, you can just gently lift your knees, find a little activation, buoyancy. Then start to press the hips up, let the head dangle. Notice that my knees are bent here. Those hamstrings are a little tight. But I'm going to take a moment to bend one of my knees and straighten the opposite leg. So right now, left leg is bent, right leg is straight, pressing down through the heel. And then I'm going to bend my right knee, press down into the left heel. And then alternate. So inhale, bend knees. Exhale, straighten one leg. Really getting a calf stretch. And back and forth. If you start to get dizzy, you can drop down, come back up, or you can also do downward dog at the wall. So as you're pedaling out here, you can take your hands, drop the head down in between the arms, and then again, press and pedal. And then you can still get that calf stretch, but you're not doing the inversion. So like if you have heartburn, or I've had a lot of heartburn in my pregnancy towards the end, or if you get dizzy, always know you can drop down at any point, take a few cat-cows. Good. We'll slowly start to make our way up to standing. So I'm gonna move this blanket out of the way for now. Take your feet about hip width distance apart, actually wider than hip width distance. So because our bellies are wider we want to create more space here. So a wider base is always nice. And I like to rock side to side a few times and then front to back, finding my center. We're going to come into our Tadasana shape, which is mountain pose, and stack joint by joint to find proper alignment in pregnancy. So very common to be standing and like tilting kind of our butt back, belly comes forward, creates an arch in the back, and then you can start to have some back problems, maybe some soreness at the back. You can start to get into some SI joint issues. And so we're trying to tuck the pelvis and come a little more into alignment. And so mountain pose will help us with that. So again, finding your feet first, just stacking your ankles right above your feet. And then stacking your knees right above your ankles. So you're just going to be subtly shifting here. And then stacking your hips above your knees. And then pausing here. So once you get to stacking the hips above your knees, this is where you're going to notice, in order to do so, you may have to take a slight tilt. So the pelvis sort of tucks under, belly lifts a little. And you're going to feel a little more strong and stable in your legs. Just notice that. Then lengthen the spine, shrug your shoulders up and let them fall down your back. Stack your shoulders over your hips and just notice how you're a little taller. And then lift up through the crown of your head. Tuck the chin back so that your head comes right above the shoulders. And take note of how your body feels in this unwavering mountain pose. So imagining that this mountain is unshakable. You're standing in your strength. Then find a little softness. Good. Now from here, we'll inhale, sweep the arms wide and up, palms touch, and exhale, pull your palms to your heart. Inhale, reaching tall. And then exhale, arms come wide and down to a forward fold. And this is where it'd be really great to grab your blocks, having for support. And I like to take a moment to just kind of sway the hips, circle the hips. Then we'll inhale, halfway lift, hands come above the knees. Take some cat-cows, inhale and exhale. And then root down, inhale, rise tall, palms touch above the head. Exhale, hands to your heart. Take a moment to find that Tadasana stack. So stacking joint by joint, coming back into alignment. Very good. And so any time of the day, you can kind of focus on your posture. Now, from here, we're going to go ahead and come into right leg is going to be forward. And I'm going to use my blocks for support to step back into a lunge shape. And in our grounded yoga, we come down into more of our kneeling lunge, but we're going to stay hovering here. So I have my knee bent in the front, legs straight in the back, and then I'm going to straighten the front, push into the back heel, and rock back and forth a few times. Inhale to the bend of the knee, exhale, straighten. And as you do this, you think of bringing that right hip towards the back wall. You're getting a nice hamstring stretch. Very good. And as rocking back and forth, this dynamic movement helps you get a little deeper into the pose. Then the next time you come into the bend of the knee, go ahead and rise up to crescent lunge. So my back heel is lifted. I'm going to have a slight bend there. Arms come up overhead. Reach up to the fingertips. I'm going to bring in my back knee a little more because I'm going to be able to bend and straighten a few times. And so as we take an inhale, we're going to dip the knee down. And as you exhale, cactus the arms and rise. Inhale, reach tall, bend the knee, and exhale, straighten. So just trying to work into the quad a little. And we're doing the harder effort, pressing down as we exhale. Similar to if you were pushing during labor, you're going to push as you exhale. Good. We'll do one more. And then we'll bring the hands down. Bring the back heel flat, and it's going to be at a 45-degree angle. So not parallel to the back, more like it's pointing to, what would that be? Like 9 o'clock. And then pressing into both feet, we're going to rise to warrior one. Inhale, reach to the fingertips. Exhale, press into the back foot, especially the outer edge, keeping the front knee over the ankle. I'm just going to take my left hand to my hip, rotate a little bit more forward, and then bring my arm back up to the sky. Inhale, reach tall. Exhale, press down again. And so you could stay here, breathing, or you could find some flow. Exhaling the arms back, inhaling, reaching up. Exhale back, inhale up. Good, exhale back. Maybe clasping the hands this time and dragging knuckles down, keeping a bend in the arms, shining your heart forward. Opening up the chest, opening the heart. Sending love and strength down to your baby. We'll inhale, arms reach back up. Good. And we're going to open up to warrior two. So now the back foot comes more parallel to the back of your mat. And then still bending the knee over the ankle. From here, arms start to rise up. Reach to the fingertips. And then exhale, soften, coming into the bend of the knee. And as we are here in warrior two, I'm going to hold this a little bit. So thinking that you can do anything for a minute, nice steady breath. Notice where your mind goes. Can you find a little more softness in your arms, but keep the strength in your legs? You got this. Coming into your breath, equal length inhales and exhales. Maybe even breathing out through the mouth. So you're blowing through a straw. Knowing everything's impermanent. Notice where your mind goes when it starts to, the body starts to fatigue. Good. 3 more breaths. Softening the jaw. Good. 1 more breath. Then we'll inhale, reach forward, exhale, reverse the warrior, open the side body. Keep that bend in the knee. Now straighten that front leg. And we'll start to reach forward and down. And this is where a block will come in handy again for support. So my hands on the block. And then my arm comes up. And the arm can stay here. You can release your neck down. I always get a little good neck pop when that happens. Or you can circle your arm down and around and inhale forward and up. Or back and up, sorry. Down and around and towards the back and up. And you could go both directions. Working on that shoulder mobility, heart opening. And I'm going to take my blocks with me to the side. So turn the toes to the side of the mat, coming into a wide-legged forward fold. You can take a moment here in this forward fold to hang your head down. If you're needing a break, you can always come down to your knees here and take some cat-cows, circle the hips. You could be on the blocks or you don't have to. Sometimes it feels good to kind of prop ourselves up, create that space. If you're in the forward fold, or eventually when you come back to it, you can use the blocks for support and sort of practice drawing your inner parts of the feet in and then pressing down and out. So you're kind of focusing on the adduction and the abduction. Good, and then we'll start to prop ourselves back up. Turn the toes out, heels in. Use the blocks to slowly press yourself up into goddess pose. So this is our wide squat, and I'm gonna take a moment to find a little bit of ease, a little sway. Hands can come together at heart center. You can also kind of sway here. Good. And pressing into the outer edges of the feet, pressing the knees back, really opening up the thighs, opening up the pelvic floor. And we're going to, again, inhale down, exhale, press up. Inhale and exhale. Good. And so our feet are pretty wide in this pose and toes are facing out. These squats can be really good for just, like I said, more creating space in our pelvis. Want to also practice some of the more parallel feet squats. In order to do those, you kind of need to have a little support. So I'll show you those in a moment. Coming back to center. And you would need to have some sort of wall or something to hold on to. So I have a door here. I'm going to use the door for support. Now feet are parallel. I'm going to sit back, holding onto the door, and then exhale up. Inhale down, exhale up, really pressing into the feet. And so being able to get deeper, squat in a different way can be beneficial as well. Good. So from there, we'll come back to just that forward fold. Shake the hips out, maybe down to hands and knees. So kind of shaking the hips, knowing that the other side is coming. So taking a moment to do whatever you need to do. Very good. And we're going to work our way back to wide-legged forward fold, pulsing up and down a few times, maybe doing some side lunges. Inhaling to center, exhale, bend one knee, straighten the opposite leg. You could even get creative with this. As you bend your knee to the left, take your blocks to the right, and stretch and hold. Back through center, opposite. And then we're going to take our blocks with us and turn towards the other side. So I'm at the back of my mat now. And once again, I'm going to come into that low lunge. So starting by rocking back and forth. Inhale to the bend of the knee. Exhale, straighten to pyramid. Good. And then next time you come into the bend of the knee, you'll stay there and bend the back knee. Go ahead and slowly start to rise up. Taking the back foot in a little, finding a little buoyancy. Arms start to rise up, tuck the pelvis under. And we're gonna pulse here. So inhale down, exhale cactus. These have gotten much harder as my belly's gotten bigger. Kind of like doing it with 40 pounds of weight on there, 20 pounds on either side, huh? All right, 2 more. And coming back up, turn the back heel down, 45 degrees. Now toes are kind of facing more towards it's 3 o'clock. And then we'll square the hips off. Right arm comes up, followed by the left arm. Press into the back foot and bend into the front knee. Inhale, reaching tall. Exhale, maybe finding flow back. So finding the strength in the pose, as well as the softness. If it felt good to bring your hands behind a clasp, go ahead and take the opposite thumb on top, so it's a little more awkward, and then wiggle the knuckles down and press the heart forward. Few breaths here. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And then as you exhale, open to warrior 2. So toes come to the side of the mat, make a nice parallel foot pressing towards the back, using your back foot like a brake. And so as you do so, you press into the outer edge here and then drive the front knee over the ankle. Arms float up. On this side, we're going to inhale and bring the arms and hands towards one another, and then exhale, release the arms and hands long. Inhale and exhale. Now, keeping the strength in the legs, you're also going to do the same movements with your feet, but it's more less like co-contraction. So you're in an inhale, drag your heel towards your inner arch, and then exhale, press out and down. Good. So again, the adduction and abduction in the legs. Finding strength in the legs, softness and flow in the upper body. And keep going, just noticing as you hold this, and your mind may start to wander. You may wonder when it's going to be over. That maybe the movement is something that helps you through the sensation. Maybe it's a mantra that you sync with your breath. Inhale, I am. Exhale, strong and soft. Inhale, I trust. Exhale, my body and baby. Just like that. We'll go ahead and pause here. Inhale, flip the palm, reach forward. Exhale, reverse. Keep the bend in the knee. Just another moment. Got this. Inhale, back up. Warrior 2, straighten the front leg. Back heel clicks in just a bit. Reach forward and down. Find that block or support. And arm comes above the head. Again, releasing the neck, wiggling up and down, maybe finding the flow, or your like air guitar or whatever you want to call this. Both directions. Good. And then from here, making a quarter turn back to the back of your mat and a slow step up to the top. So feet are going to be hip width distance apart, more than hip width distance apart, I mean. Wiggle the hips side to side. Press down, circling the hips as you come back up. Finding the flow, finding the strength in your legs, rooting down into your feet, and finding that Tadasana mountain pose one more time. Tucking the pelvis under, lifting up, and then finding some softness in this pose. Strength and softness. All right, now before we come down onto our final poses on our back, we're going to take a Malasana squat. So I like to use at least one block for support, if not two. And toes are going to be wide, heels in, just like we did in goddess pose, pressing into the outer edges of the feet and bringing the elbows inside the knee. And then just rocking side to side here. And you can do this without the blocks. You just want to be careful, especially as the belly gets bigger, that you're not putting too much pressure on the hips. You don't want to pinch there. Can be a lot of the distribution of weight can be challenging and might be more harm than good. Bringing the palms to touch. We're going to inhale, press the breath down into the pelvic floor, and exhale, lift the breath up. So you almost like engage the pelvic floor, lifting up. Then inhale, press down, and exhale, engage. We don't want our pelvic floors too tight or moving towards labor and delivery, but if you've had a child before, you might have a more hypotonic pelvic floor. It might be a little looser. If it's a little too tight, then you want to not focus as much on engaging, but it's good to feel it and just know how to activate that so that after labor, you can work towards restructuring the pelvic floor. Very good. All right. We're going to make our way down into either a figure four or half pigeon. So I'll give you two options, and it does help to have a pretty sturdy, like maybe a couch pillow type, or this is a bolster if you're going to work towards half pigeon. I'm going to start with my left leg, but you can start with your right just so you can see what I'm doing. I'm bringing my knee outside the bolster and my heel tucks in. And then you can start to lay down. Now belly is a little big, so I have it kind of tucked here on the edge of the bolster. You can also put a block underneath here. That might feel good. And you're getting into the outer edge of your back hip. So if you have any sciatica pain or SI joint pain, this might not be the best option for you. You can also do this by sitting either on the floor or on the bolster. I'll show you the floor first, but taking your right leg up, hooking the ankle over the knee. So a little harder for me these days with the belly, rocking side to side. And that's where the bolster or some sort of perch can help, because you can actually bring your arms back and still get into the stretch. A little bit more of a decline back here. So you do you. Steady breathing, finding equal length inhales and exhales. We'll start to switch sides. So I'll show you this first. You would just simply bring up and over, pressing your knee forward, getting into the outer hip. You're keeping your, I should have said this on the other side, but ankle kind of at a 90 degrees, so it's safe, keeps the knee feel supported. And then also the option to come into half pigeon with the right leg outside the bolster, tucking the heel in, pressing both hips back. So you block on this one. So settling into whichever pose works. We'll take 3 more breaths here, or until you feel even. And we'll slowly start to rise up. You're going to keep the pillow or bolster that you have close, because we're going to use that in Shavasana. And then coming down into a reverse tabletop and then a bridge pose. So I'm going to take the block and put it between my legs. Hands are behind me. Press into the feet, press into the hands. Inhale, lift the hips up, squeeze the block in. We're going to stay here. Inhale, pressing up. Exhale, dip down. Inhale, press up. And exhale down. Good. 2 more. And then hold, lengthen the head towards the back wall. Press your knees towards the front. And exhale, lower down. We'll start to come down onto the elbows, slowly making your way onto your back. Keeping the knees squeezing towards one another. Squeezing the block, press into the feet. Then inhale, lift the hips up. And then exhale, roll back down. And do that a few times. Inhale, squeeze and lift. Exhale, lower down. Maybe you add the arms. Inhale, arms rise overhead. Exhale, release hips and hands to the mat. So finding flow. Inhale. And exhale. Trying to sync movement with breath. Feeling the strength in your legs and your glutes. And some flow, the softness in the arms. Very good. Hold. Squeeze, hold. And then lower back down. From here, you're going to take your bolster or pillow and come into side lying pose. So I like to do this on my left leg, with my left leg straight. The bolster is going to be to the side of your mat. Straighten that leg, bring the bolster in alignment. It does help to have either a block or like a pillow. I'm going to use a blanket for the head. And then head comes down. Again, straight leg, bend the top leg, bring it on top of the bolster. And so you're going to want to have a pillow or bolster, maybe multiples, so that your knee is in alignment with your hip. Mine is actually a little bit lower. I could benefit from putting like another layer here, and you just let your legs settle. And so this form of Shavasana, or our resting pose, can be done through your third trimester. We don't want to lay on our backs after the first trimester. And in some of the other videos, I show how to use the bolster or a pillow as an incline where you can lie on it in different positions. But I've noticed that in my third trimester, that puts a little bit of pressure on my sacrum in a way that doesn't feel so good. But side lying is always helpful. Also can be used as a labor position, so good to practice. As you lie here, just soften your body. Notice how it feels to have created some strength today. And then finding softness in this pose of surrender and rest at the end. Allowing your body to reset and digest the practice. It's one of the beautiful parts about yoga is you can challenge yourself and then take a short nap. Relax and release. Leave behind anything that came up for you. Almost like a physical letting go. Letting go of what doesn't serve you anymore, whether they're thoughts, worries, anxieties that come up through pregnancy. Thinking of what can you leave here? And then begin to create some movement in your fingers and toes and wrists and ankles. Spreading the toes and fingers, wiggling, circling, reaching your arm overhead for a full body stretch. And then starting to just roll onto, you're already on your side, and sort of roll your way up to seated. And taking a moment to find your center once again. Closing down the eyes, placing one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Taking inventory of how you feel now. So what has shifted for you? Physically, emotionally, mentally. Finding that equal fluctuation breath once again, inhaling for the count of 4, and exhaling for 4. In through the nose, this time out through the mouth. One more of those, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Giving yourself a little gratitude in this space for connecting with yourself, connecting with your baby today. Knowing that you did all this work to nourish both of you so that you can keep that strong and safe environment within your womb for your little baby. Thank you so much for joining me. The light and love in me honors the very same in you. Namaste. Much love.